lions, tigers, bears. Oh my. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
What's going on?
Hello, everyone.
The accent.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the podcast. Here you are. We're all going to learn things. And if there's any young children in the car with you right now, block your ears, kiddlywinks, because we're going to be swearing. Cunt, 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 cunt.
What was with that intro?
What was not with it? You guys all enjoyed it?
There was
You're
nothing
all
wrong with
having
that.
a giggle?
Yeah, usually.
I try to change things up. I do different characters. That's my old man who's probably gay, but he has a wife and kids, but he works for NPR voice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
He's got a big
specific.
library.
I know when I go home to my wife, she's always berating me. Oh, you're always off at your dance classes and whatnot.
At the Turkish baths.
Yeah. I like to have a lovely steam.
Have you guys ever gone to one of those? Like,
No.
Oh, by accident.
There was one in
You
Budapest.
don't get a prolapse asshole out of like mine just through sneezing.
Now, remember when we were in Budapest? There was like one in the hotel. There was like a weird marble pool thing.
My gaze in Budapest.
No, you didn't go to it. I did.
No.
I didn't go into the steamer, but I just walked around the pool and looked at things and I didn't trust it.
No, I've never been to a bathhouse. No.
What's the benefit? Just there's spa
you
stuff.
you get gay sex.
Oh, okay.
well, they've also got like the Korean spas and stuff like that in
I
LA.
think they're legit spas.
Yeah.
No, there's regular
like,
spas.
There's like
regular
services. You can get
spas.
massages and
But
facials and all that stuff, but
there's-
everybody walks around naked.
There's bathhouses, male ones that if you're in the know,
I'm a not.
I'm
a nut.
I'm a nut. My name.
You see
You are wearing an anal sex t-shirt, so
You see a doorway and you go in there and then you go, oh, this is very
Hey,
good.
fellers! Happy April 18th.
Mama said the Turkish bathhouse. You sounded like it.
I'm not.
What's the
not.
dodgiest place you've ever walked into where you've gone, oh, I shouldn't be here. This is
down
all
the street.
This is all gone a bit weird.
It's true.
Down the street from your
He
house.
goes to a strip club by the train track.
Right down the street.
Yeah, that was tricky.
It's right by the. It's
Right by a medical chemical plant that has leaks every so often.
Yeah, it does. And then there's a sewage treatment
There's the
plant. over
women
there,
with the
too.
3 titties.
And two doors down is the beauty school.
You're giving away where you live now.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you what road.
That's a progression of life. Like you start off at the beauty school, oh, I can't be asked doing this. Then you become a stripper, then you end up in the chemical plant.
And then the train tracks.
Yeah.
That's a strip club. They don't take their clothes off, though, right?
Oh, it's fully nude.
It's fully nude.
Oh, so there's no alcohol.
I've never been in there, but I drive by, they say fully nude.
Yeah, because
It's a
that's right,
gentleman's
I
club.
used to live right near there too. I don't know what. And,
It's for gentlemen. They come in and go, oh, hello, kind lady. I am what they call a gentleman. You don't seem to be wearing enough clothes. Let me get you an outfit, for I am a gentleman. Can I touch your breast?
hold on, there's a puddle of cum. Let me put my jacket over it.
Oh, how
do I want you to
gentlemanly
slip?
of you.
Yeah, very nice guys in there.
Yeah, the gentleman is like on the neon sign. He has like a fedora on and a cigarette. It's like Sinatra.
what's it called? Do you know?
I think it's called
It's
the
the
Gentleman's
Gentleman's
Club.
Club.
Okay. The strip club we used to always go to in college was called the Frisky Kitty. It was in Van Nuys,
That sounds fun.
and it was rough.
There was one I used to go to in Miami called Stir Crazy. That was not good at all. And like you would walk in and all the strippers would be at the bar like eating wings. So that's not good. You know, when around that. And then around Christmas in the lot where you would park, they'd sell Christmas trees. And I think that was so like dudes would be there drinking at the strip club. And then they would come home late and be like, but I got you a Christmas tree.
babe. I got a Christmas tree.
Wow, this is why you were out late. Yes.
yeah.
Why are you covered in glitter? The Christmas trees.
It was flocked.
There's one in Inglewood that I've driven by my whole life, and I was like, all right, I gotta show up at some point. I walk in, and in the bar, there's a big sign that says beef stew, $3.50 a bowl.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, that can't be good.
Your sister had a party. I've been watching it on social media.
Oh yeah.
Fucking hell, man. That looked like a hell of a do. It was really
there.
Yeah, I know.
I was there.
Forrest looked like he was having a great time.
Forrest was there. Yeah.
It was one of
Forrest-
those inflatable flappy dudes.
Yeah, what was with the floppy guy that was meant to be at the front of the car park selling cars? Why was that there?
It was a prop from a Comedy Central show that got canceled, and I was like, yeah, that might be helpful or useful at some point.
Do people enjoy that? Do they dance around it?
Yeah.
Natalie. I remember her video.
There was some really good tacos there. They had a taco.
Taco Heart was really
We
good.
had a mariachi band.
The band was really
a
good.
banda, not a
Banda.
mariachi.
Banda.
Yeah, but a
Banda.
mariachi band and tacos. Like, I get it. You're
It
from
wasn't
Mexico.
mariachi. It wasn't
I'm-
mariachi. It was a banda.
Yeah, I
I know the difference now.
Potato.
The best part is that it was a Jersey Shore themed party, and
Well,
he
no,
had
They
everything.
sent out 4 different invites to people. So we got the Jersey Shore one, but everyone's just dressed up as cowboy.
Yeah,
He was the
yeah.
only one in Jersey Shore.
Because I was like looking at the people in the crowd, I'm like, I don't even understand how any of these people are Jersey Shore.
But like,
Your brother looked
if-
like he was a goth.
If
No,
my
yeah.
brother had a party and I invited you guys along and I said, oh, it's just a regular party and all we did was eat Vegemite meat pies and listen to Men at Work, you'd go, geez, you're clinging onto this culture of yours a little bit hard.
And we're in Little Australia.
Yeah. We're just like this. You come wear your flip flops, have corks hanging off your fucking hats.
Well, for a long time, I was there with my cousin, and we were the only white people there. And then when other white people showed up, I was kind of pissed off. I was like, we were like the
This is
white
our-
people.
this
Yeah,
We're the
But-
colonizers here.
But you know what is? I asked Luis, I go, how many people are you related to here? And what did you say, like 90%?
80%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So you can fuck anyone at the party.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop them from
Remember,
trying.
third or fourth cousins, okay.
It must get confusing, eh?
I have to draw out a family tree every time. It's like, yeah, well, maybe there's potential there.
Oh, yeah.
That's a joke.
Disgusting.
That's a joke.
Well,
No.
I'll tell you the one thing about the band though is they didn't need to be amplified. Like every single instrument had a microphone on it, and then
Yeah,
it would throw
why
an
were
amp.
they?
I'm
It was,
like,
they were so
we're
loud.
10 feet away
Luis.
from you.
Yeah, being your neighbor must be a fucking nightmare.
When my friend Devin and I were leaving, one of his neighbors goes, "You two look adorable." And we go, "Oh, we just came from the Castillos," and she just gives me a look of like, "Who?" Turns out he doesn't know his neighbors.
Yeah,
But I
they
thought-
just want to kill him.
I thought they would have known who the loud music
I
was
thought
coming
your
from
f-
constantly.
I thought your friend was Haley Joel Osment. And then I
He does
looked
kinda look
at his
like him.
Instagram. I was like,
He
that's
does
not
kinda
him.
look
Yeah.
like him.
He looked scared though.
Devin?
Yeah, he looked a little bit nervous. Yeah, he was like out of his element, and people thought I was out of my element because of that video. But that was a joke. So I was fine. And
Luis, put the video right here.
Was Forrest dancing?
oh no, I'm just standing. You didn't see the video?
I saw no, you said that you were just doing a video.
Yeah.
I'm saying in regular life when the cameras were off.
No, I didn't.
So what were you doing that was vastly different? You're like, I only did that for the video. The rest of the time I was high-fiving people and throwing dice in the alleyway.
No, I'm saying Jack's friend looked nervous. I'm
Oh,
saying,
yeah.
We danced our asses off though.
But you told me that your neighbors don't care as long as it's Mexican music, right?
Yeah. Every party we've thrown with a banda or mariachi, no complaints. But the second we have a live rock band, we've had it like once or twice. Cops are there by 10 p.m. So
like, get this shit out of here.
I'm pretty sure I've seen neighbors like
Gentrification. Get it out of here.
I just go out to the street and I see neighbors in like folding chairs in the sidewalk, just
Yeah.
enjoying the show. Like, all right.
There were people in folding chairs when we were leaving.
Really.
And what are they doing? They just listen to music and drink a beer on the street?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes every now and then, even though we don't know them, they'll walk in and like, hey, I live down the street. Can I come over? Like, yeah, fuck it. Have a taco.
I'll tell you what, though. It was good. Like, look, tacos are really good and a lot of alcohol. I walked in and your sister just gave me like a spicy vodka shot or something.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was just vodka. I was
That's
like,
why I did-
Castillos go hard, man.
That's why I didn't go, because I'm completely sober right now. No booze,
Yeah.
no weed. And I knew that if I went there, I would have to drink.
You
All
have to drink
right,
when
so
you
I'm
go.
going to be in Durham,
and
I'll be
first you're going to be in
Charlotte.
Tucson and Rancho Mirage.
Tucson and Rancho Mirage. Come out. Drink up the last bits of summer. Enjoy. One of them's in an
In
amphitheater.
Tucson.
Yeah, it's
there.
outdoors, man.
Yeah, get in there.
We're going to be outside. We're going to be telling jokes, and that's all I'm going to do. But the rest, I don't know what the rest of you will do.
Amos and JJ.
The show's very good at the moment. I'm honed. Just come off a big tour of Australia. You want to? Oh, geez, I'm good right now.
August 27th, Rancho Mirage at Agua Caliente
You only have
Resort
Australia
Casino.
references in your accent.
Yeah, it's a lot of bit like, oh, what's with the new prime minister? Whoa.
Yeah, the dollar's tanking. September 8th.
It's not actually. It's done
Okay.
quite well.
No, whatever. I don't know. September 8th, Durham, North Carolina. The Durham Performing Arts Center, September 9th at Ovens Auditorium. That sounds warm.
Yeah.
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Ovens Auditorium.
September 10th at Cobb Energy Performing Arts Center in Atlanta, Georgia.
Woo! Atlanta.
Yeah.
We're going to play golf with Jack's dad.
Oh, that's fun.
He said he wanted a father-son experience.
So I'm sending my friends.
Yeah, and then don't forget to subscribe to our Patreon, right?
Yeah, patreon.com/IDCat.
I never remember it.
Follow us on Instagram at IDCat Podcast. And you can get merch at IDon'tKnowAboutThat.com.
Like my
Did-
bathhouse
Like,
shirt.
yeah.
Did Luis's uncle go, wee, at the party?
Well, did he show up?
Nah, he's still in Mexico.
Ah.
Was there any gritos there?
I think Jack actually did
I
one
did
at some
some.
point. Yeah.
Is that cultural
Wow.
appropriation?
He told me to.
And you were wearing a
Cancelled.
cowboy outfit and stuff on your way to a Kenny
That's
Chesney
bold.
concert.
I brought Modelo's.
Cultural appropriation is very difficult because what they do is with cultural appropriation. Sometimes you're like, oh, I don't want to do this, and then like a Mexican person will go, do the noise, and you go, oh, right,
It's a
I'll do it."
trap. It's always
and
a
then,
trap.
I've just come back from Hawaii, and they're all they say aloha, and then you do it, and you're doing the hang loose hands like that, and then
Yeah.
in 10 years they'll be like, can you believe that we used to go to Hawaii and say aloha to the natives? That was
It
don't
does.
call them natives. Oh, God.
Well, cuz. Hey, cuz. You're not supposed to say in Hawaii either.
My point is that you can go say, oh, aloha, all that type of stuff, and then you say konnichiwa and all those different things.
In Hawaii?
Oh, a lot of Asians there. but yeah,
Big Japanese population there.
yeah.
At least on Oahu.
Yeah. Anyway, so they so my point is sometimes with the cultural appropriation,
That's what
you're
Pearl
like,
Harbor was.
you're like, I know. You go, do it. They get you to do it. They
World
get
War
you
II.
to do it. And then like other times you're not allowed to do it. But every time you go to like Africa, they're selling you knickknacks and shit like that.
Patty
They're
wax.
selling you all that fucking gift shop shit that they fucking make. And then you go to Thailand,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
selling you shit all the time. And then when you get home, don't put it on the wall.
I did. Yeah, I did. I bought a lot of like things in India, and I remember when I came back, people were like, "You can't have that in your house." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about? You're supporting the local community who makes this art."
That's right.
Crazy.
The Aboriginals, they're always flogging shit with dot paintings on. They're dot painting everything. They love.
But that's the trap. They sell them to you, and they're like, you're not allowed to use these.
I got like a boomerang that I just brought back now that someone gave me as a gift that was an original bit of artwork, the boomerang type of thing. And I don't know if I hang it up or whatever. It's like Uluru, which is the big rock in the middle of Australia. You're not allowed to walk on it anymore. And I'm sounding like an old man. You used to be able to bloody walk on the fucking thing. And then the Aboriginals came in and they said you can't walk on it anymore. And so they can't say you can't walk anymore because they go, oh, it's like a church to them. And I'm like, I accept that. I fully do, if that's your belief. But the flip side is you could walk on the roof of the Sistine Chapel all fucking day and I'd give zero fucks. Westminster Abbey, you could have construction up there 24/7, just them putting their foots through the fucking roof.
Yeah, but you're not religious.
Yeah, but I was born into that religion. They're not religious either. They are and they're not. Now this is some
Cut this out.
No, leave it in. They believe in a dream time. A dream time is like the same as fables that you get from ancient Greece, where these are stories, cautionary tales and whatnot about how the land was built and how certain animals got their body parts, etc., etc. But I think no one in their right mind believes this. No one goes, we have rivers because a frog drank too much water and vomited.
Your dream time's about to end.
Yes, the Midnight Oil reference.
Yeah.
Very good, Forrest. There's about 4 people in the car that are like sitting like this.
We have a lot of Australian listeners.
Very good.
That probably have never listened to Midnight Oil, but
Is that the band or the
I don't
song?
know what you guys are talking about at all.
there's a band, Midnight Oil.
Your dream world is just about
Dream
to
World.
end.
said it wrong,
That song.
Yeah, it's a good song. You'd like it, Jack. You never listen to Midnight Oil?
I think he's played me some.
It'd be right
You
up your alley.
like
yeah.
Midnight Oil.
Yeah, it's
Is
like
that the
classic
guy
rock,
whose dance
baby.
is weird?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're back touring again.
Ooh.
He went into politics for a very long time. He was the environmental minister of Australia. Let's start the fucking podcast. Our brains require maintenance, just like any other appliance in our lives. If you have a car that breaks down, you wouldn't keep driving it. You'd go to the mechanic and get it fixed, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you do the same thing with your brain? Your brain works down, go to the mechanics at BetterHelp, and they'll help you fix your brain. Look, how we care for our minds affects how we experience all of life. So it's important to invest time and care in keeping them healthy. There are plenty of ways to support, brain health, like learning a new language or taking power naps. There's also BetterHelp online therapy. All right. So when you go to therapy, people just think, oh, you're just going to sit there and talk or whatever. But often they can give you little tools.
Yeah, I started with a new therapist yesterday.
Yeah, you feel lighter when you leave therapy. BetterHelp is online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat on live chat only therapy sessions. So you don't have to see anyone on the camera if you don't want to. And, maybe that's for the best for both of you. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy. You can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/IDK. That's betterhelp.com/IDK. Green Chef is the CCOF certified meal kit company. Green Chefs makes eating well and easy plans for fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. Green Chef offers a range of recipes to suit your preferences. They're offering more customization than ever before. The new organic and wild-caught protein options. Swap the protein in for any meals that features chicken, beef, or salmon to suit your taste, and we'll deliver our recipes tailored to you. Well, I won't be delivering anything directly to your front door. I might. You never know where life's going to take you. If you're looking to stay healthy, Green Chef's fast and fit meals are under 700 calories and are ready in 25 minutes or less. And if you're one of those that cares about the environment, Green Chef is the only meal kit that is both carbon and plastic offsets. They offset 100% of their carbon footprint as well as 100% of their plastic in every box. Stay healthy and help save the planet. Forrest, we just got sent some Green Chef meals. What are your favorite ones this week?
There was like a Thai soup one with like shrimp and stuff in it. That one's good.
Thai shrimp soup?
I don't remember the exact name, but it was like a coconut-based soup.
Coconut Thai shrimp soup.
Yeah, it was Thai. And then there was these like beef patties with like a Greek style with like feta and stuff. And it was
Greek
on
beef.
Couscous. And yeah, it's like
Greek
really
beef
good.
couscous.
I'm a big fan of Green Chef. As you know, if you're a podcast listener, I like it very much. And I used to cook in a restaurant.
Or you can mix the things together. You can have Greek beef with Thai curry.
No, don't do that.
You
Don't
can.
mix Greek and Thai.
You can.
Yeah, you could, but not Green Chef.
Greek and Thai, you'd be a good looking girl. Go to greenchef.com/I-don't-know-135 and use the code I-don't-know-135. Why? Why are you asking me? Why am I saying 135? To get $135 off across 5 boxes. That's your first box ships free. That's greenchef.com/I-don't-know-135 and use the code I-don't-know-135 to get $135 off across 5 boxes. And that's your first box ships free. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well.
All right, please welcome our guest, Rachel Humphrey.
Hello, Rachel. Now it's time to play Yes, No, Yes, No.
Yes, no.
Beautiful.
By its cover.
In tune.
That was lovely.
So Rachel, she works at a university where she talks to students. I can tell that already. You got books behind you, lots of academia. You're a big fan of toy dogs. So is your specialty toy dogs?
No, I wish.
Yeah, I know. It'd be good. If you're the best in any field, you can make money. You know what I mean? And someone would go, she's the lady to talk to for toy dogs. You've also got a wolf. Are you a dog lover?
I am. I very much am. Yes.
Are dogs involved in what we're about to talk about?
No.
No.
I would hope not.
You also have a ghost behind you. Are we going to be talking about the paranormal?
Hard no.
Oh, I could bring it closer, actually. As my Yankees cap falls down. Maybe this looks a little bit
No.
more of a clue.
No, that's exactly what we're talking about.
Casper? Casper, the
That right there.
angry ghost.
What she has in her hand, where you can hold it up, keep holding it up. You can do some motions with it. There you go. Like, what does it do? How's it?
Dancing
takes,
ghosts.
It takes Dorothy away.
It's not a ghost.
Oh, tornadoes.
Spin it around.
There you go.
Tornadoes.
Yeah.
Looks more like a ghost.
It does. It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's his name? Terry the Tornado?
I actually don't know. Oh, Stormy, apparently, according to the tag.
Oh.
So
It's Kylie Jenner's daughter.
Rachel Humphrey is an assistant professor of meteorology and science education at St. Cloud State University, and is also the planetarium director at St. Cloud State. If you're ever in there and you want to reserve free planetarium shows, you can do that by visiting this website that I'm not going to say the whole thing. We'll put it up on our site. And on social media, you can find on Twitter at Go Ask a Scientist, or the Anthropomorphic Planetarium Projectors. That's their Twitter handle, right? At SCSU Planetarium.
yeah.
There was a
There
P
you
in
go.
there. Yeah. How did you get started in meteorology?
Oh my gosh. So I grew up in New York, and when I was about 15 years old or so, my mom and I and our two dogs, we went camping in upstate New York, and we were nearly killed by a very strong storm system called a derecho. And we had no warnings, no nothing. This is way back before, smartphones or anything like that. And it was absolutely terrifying. And after I stopped being scared, I started to wonder why and how that happened. But I was too intimidated to go into meteorology because it's a lot of math and physics. And so I actually went for a teaching degree, got my degree in elementary education and sociology, and then realized that small children can be more intimidating than the math and physics required. So, so I actually went back to do a degree in meteorology, and then went to grad school for atmospheric science as well. So, yeah.
All right. Do you know anything about tornadoes, Jim?
Not really. I know where they sort of happen. I know what they do. I don't know why they're caused.
Okay. We'll see.
Yeah, I've got to give a quick shout out to my cousin Sean, who on Saturday was in the middle of a tornado, just had time to park his car, and then was enveloped by darkness.
Did he get up?
I think his car lifted a little bit. A street sign went through his windshield. His car was completely fucked. So good job for surviving, Sean. Congratulations.
Yeah, survival is good.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
He did a really good job on that.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask Jim some questions about tornadoes. And when he's done answering them, Rachel, you're going to grade him on accuracy, 0 through 10. 10's the best. Kelly's going to grade him on confidence. I'm going to grade him on et cetera. Add them all together. If you score 21 through 30, Jim, Twister, the movie.
Yeah.
11 through 20, Twister, the game.
The Twister pinball machine's very good.
Okay. 11 through 20, Twister, the game, not the pinball machine. The one with the dots. It's not as good.
Don't know it.
Okay. 0 through 10, Twister, the titty. That's the other one. So.
Titty twister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it Twister the titty.
Well, no, but it was Twister, the movie, Twister, the game,
Titty Twister.
Twister, the titty.
Okay.
It's
You
his
never played
categories.
Twister,
Let
the
him have it.
game? You never played Twister, the game? You don't know what it is?
The one with the colored dots
color-
and you spin it.
The actual Twister.
What do they call that in Australia?
Right hand.
Twisterloo? Yeah, we have it in Australia.
Okay.
Called Me Too.
Okay.
It's like, how is that game? That game could never be brought out now. That was really just for dodgy uncles to fucking get in the way, wasn't it?
Yeah,
be on
they just
top
sit on
of
the
it.
couch. bend over.
And whoever pulls out Twister at a party is someone who's trying to touch somebody.
Yeah.
What is a tornado?
A tornado is a circular, spiraling wind pocket that goes like that, and it's in a cone shape that goes up, and it can destroy anything in its path.
Name some different types of tornadoes.
Big ones, small ones, fat ones, short ones. You got twisters, twisties. Twisties, I tell you, ever had a twisty, Rachel? You get
I have not.
Okay, that's like an Australian sort of like a Cheez-It type of puff type of thing, but they're in twisty tornado-y shapes. I think they were rejects they were meant to be Cheezels, right? And they came out all like really weird looking, and they went, we'll just
Cheezels. We don't
we'll
have
just call them twist.
How's a Cheezel?
Yeah,
Those were your Doritos.
Twisties. Have a twisty. They're lovely.
Okay, so short
life's pretty
ones.
straight without twisties. That's the slogan.
Do you want to describe the life cycle of a tornado?
Well, it's born.
Okay.
It would have something to do with a bit of wind, and then the wind was like, ooh, and then it hits like it goes up a cul-de-sac and it swings back around. That's the first start of the twist.
Atmospheric cul-de-sac. I like that. I'm gonna have to incorporate that.
Can't go this way.
Can't go this way. So
Turn
twist,
around.
Dead end.
twist back on a one-way system.
Yep.
They always seem to happen in flat plain areas, very little hills. You never see one on top of a mountain.
Okay.
That's what I know about the tornadoes. They always like to have anything that's like the middle of the country, Oklahoma. The first time I was in Kansas and I was at the airport and it was like had like a twister bunker, like this is where you go if the tornado comes. I'm like, fucking hell. I was like, I'm not in Kansas anymore, but I was.
Oh my God.
So it's
Well, how are they produced? How about that?
a big twist.
Okay.
Those
You heard the
companies.
cul-de-sac. It's the
No,
cul-de-sac.
it would be weather formations tightened up into twisty things.
Okay. What kind of clouds do tornadoes form? Like
Serious ones.
from? Okay.
That's good.
Okay. Which direction do tornadoes spin?
Clockwise.
Okay.
Oh, actually, that was anti-clockwise.
Anti-clockwise.
What is a tornado family?
Oh, that's when a whole group of them. There's three. You see them. Sometimes there's like three of them. This is not like one. It's never like one tornado. They always branch off, and they've got little tiny sibling ones. And stuff.
What is a supercell?
A supercell would be a large tornado. It's almost hitting cyclone levels, but it's not. It's just a tornado. It's a big one.
And then when is the season? When's the season for tornadoes?
Tornado season. Well, if Kelly, I'd say late summer going into autumn.
And what is the rating scale for tornadoes? Like weak to strong.
Yeah, it'd be class 1 to 10.
The name maybe too, or
Don't care.
okay. What is the range of wind speeds that have been measured in tornadoes, and like what's the highest one ever recorded?
Highest wind speed would be 700 miles an hour.
700.
700.
That's pretty
Wow.
good.
Okay, and what's like the average?
The average is 200 miles an hour.
And then on average, how large are tornadoes like across, and what is the largest one ever recorded?
Across
Average.
20 meters across.
Yeah, and the largest one.
The largest one, 200 meters across.
Yeah.
And then how long do they last for? Like how far do they travel?
They travel from Kansas to Omaha and
Like miles. This is how many miles do you think?
15 miles. I think
What's the
that's right.
longest one? that's
Kansas
ever
to
recorded?
Omaha, 15
Like
miles.
length travel.
What's that?
What's the longest one that's ever been traveled?
700 miles.
Okay.
Damn.
Where is Tornado Alley?
Kansas.
Okay. And then what parts of the world do tornadoes occur in?
Middle of America is where tornadoes, and I to be honest with you, I haven't seen or heard of another tornado in pop culture or anything outside of North America in my entire life.
Okay. Can tornadoes be detected before they happen?
A little bit. There's the same. Oh, my hip's playing up. Oh, there might be a tornado
Okay.
coming up. Oh, I don't like that. Oh.
What's it like in
It's
the
like when your wife's in a mood, you can tell a little bit out. And you go, is everything all right? And they go, everything's fine. But you know it's not. It's like tornadoes.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden you're in trouble.
Couple more questions here. What's it like in the center of a tornado?
Calm. The eye of a hurricane, the eye of the storm, the eye of a tornado. Nothing's happening in the middle.
Okay. What sound do tornadoes make?
How do you spell that?
Oh.
Barley, 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 barley.
Okay, last question. How do you stay safe during a tornado? What can you do to prepare?
Go into your tornado hutch underneath your house,
Mhm.
or you get into a bathtub and you put a mattress on top of you.
Yeah. What if you were like that? You were like just in a field.
Run.
To where?
No, you don't want to be. You want to be in open areas. You don't want to be underneath things that could fall on top of you. You don't want to be there. You want to be out in the open.
And your car, stay in your car.
Nah, yeah, sure.
Okay. Hey, Rachel, how did Jim do in his knowledge of tornadoes? 0 to 10. 10's the best. Okay, 1.
You were right on quite a few things, and then there are other things that we can tweak a little bit.
Right.
So yeah.
It's a silly American fucking weather pattern, isn't it? Bloody tornadoes.
You think it only happens in America?
I'm about to find out it doesn't.
That one's already wrong. So
I know hurricanes.
That one is wrong.
I know hurricanes and cyclones happen in other countries, but I've never seen like tornadoes in any other pop culture apart from America.
That's because pop culture only exists in America.
Oh God.
Well, certainly the loudest anyway. Yeah.
So what number would you give him?
6.5-ish.
What?
Maybe.
Yeah,
all right, maybe 5. I don't know.
I got plenty of
mean, with
things
my
right.
students, I always give partial credit. So 5 to 6. 5 to 6.
5
Hey,
to
we're
6.
all students. There you go.
I'm dumber than a student. I haven't even chosen to do this course. So I've just wandered in off the street, given a few tornado facts, laid them down. If that's not worth a fucking 6, I don't know what is.
How's his confidence, Kelly?
I'll give him a 4 on confidence.
All right. I'll give you a -1 titty twister. Jim said a tornado is
Live.
Have you ever had one? Fun.
Yeah, of course I've had one.
And you lived?
You think I've gone 45 years on this planet and no one's tweaked one of my nipples into a twisting motion?
His first one was last week.
Yeah, I think I've given you one.
I think so, probably. I don't know. What about Jack? You've had him?
No, never go Jack one.
No, he's never given me one.
Okay.
Workers' comp. Hello.
There's no HR department here, Jack.
So Jim said a tornado is circularly. What's a tornado? Rachel.
So yeah, you were actually pretty close there. So yeah, it's basically a circulation that is underneath a very specific type of cloud. It's actually associated with a storm called a supercell.
You can answer questions that later, like what type of cloud it is. All that stuff. You can say all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are these very big storms called supercells where the entire updraft rotates. And sometimes, if the conditions are just right, the circulation that is in the updraft actually makes its way down to the ground, makes a connection with the ground. Now, the cloud itself, the funnel cloud, doesn't have to reach the ground in order for there to be a tornado. As long as there's just a wisp of dust moving or swirls on the ground, that is enough to show that the circulation has gone from the cloud base down to the ground. And so you have a tornado at that point. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happens if a plane can fly over tornadoes, right? I was just thinking about
They fly above clouds.
Yeah, no, but I didn't know if there was wind above. Yeah.
Here's the thing. You wouldn't want to bring a plane anywhere near one of these thunderstorms, supercells or any other kind of thunderstorm, because of the turbulence. So these types of thunderstorms especially have a lot of, they have a very strong region of updraft motion, and these can exceed 100 meters per second. So definitely nothing to mess around with. And they have intense downdrafts as well, which can bring down your rain, your hail, all that fun stuff. And so you really wouldn't want to be in an aircraft or have a drone or anything like that around there, because the turbulence could literally tear it apart, and that would be bad.
Yeah.
So
some different types of tornadoes. Jim said big, small, fat, short, twisters, and twisties. What are you doing there?
Yeah, I mean, that is sort of true. Tornadoes take lots of different sizes, lots of different shapes. They do go through a different life cycle and
Aren't there
everything like
names
that.
for them? You're giving them to. We're trying to.
Yeah, I mean, no.
Okay.
But there are different stages, right? So there's the developing stage, the mature stage, at which point it can look like a cone or it can look like a wedge, right, where it's wider than it is tall. Some of them never get past the little rope stage where they're little, thin, needly looking things.
What's the one? I grew up in Florida. They're always over the water. I forget what those are called, but are those tornadoes?
So they look like tornadoes. They look like tornadoes. They're called waterspouts.
Waterspouts.
Yep. Yeah. So waterspouts form differently. They actually form from the surface up, as opposed to true supercell tornadoes, which form from the cloud base down. So waterspouts occur when you have fair weather cumulus clouds, just big cotton ball, fluffy looking clouds that form on fair weather days. A lot of times when you have that rapid rising motion that allows the clouds to build up vertically, that stretches the atmospheric column down below. And so you get this little spin up that goes up like that. When they move on shore, they can do damage. And sometimes you can have supercell tornadoes over water. So it just depends on whether you're talking about fair weather waterspouts or actually tornadic waterspouts. Most of them, thankfully, are fair weather waterspouts.
Yeah, 'cause
But we're not talking about waterspouts right now. Forest.
Correct.
You moved
You
on
are
there.
true.
I thought they were tornadoes because there was a giant tornado that went through downtown Miami back. I remember that was like really rare.
Who let
But
this guy in?
We used to drive towards those waterspouts on boats because I don't think they were that
You
bad.
used to drive towards them.
Yeah, again, like the fair weather waterspouts.
Yeah.
I mean, I
They're
wouldn't
fair
recommend
weather.
going into it, but yeah.
We're tough. We were tough. Tough growing up in Florida. The life cycle of a tornado. Jim says they're born. 2 tornadoes have sex, and then it's born, and then goes down a cul-de-sac.
I did like the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
never
the
in the
atmospheric
mountains. Never in the
cul-de-sac.
mountains.
They're always in
Yeah,
flats.
so that's actually not true. Actually, so okay, I mean, I do like the atmospheric cul-de-sac explanation, but so tornadoes have been seen, they've been observed in all 50 states, for example, even in mountainous regions.
You wouldn't get them in California. There's never been a tornado in California. I've lived here a
There
long
have.
time. I look
I
out the window
promise
every
you.
day.
I promise
scouring
you
the
there
internet.
have been. I promise. But yeah, so there actually have been tornadoes in mountainous regions. Thankfully, they don't tend to be very strong. But yeah, no, there's kind of this urban misconception or this, urban myth that they can't hit cities, they can't go into mountains, and they absolutely can as long as the physics and the other conditions are right.
But why do we never see like one in Manhattan just tearing up the Ray's Pizza place? Like, why doesn't that happen then? If they can.
Well, Staten Island just got hit by one a couple of years ago,
but
so that's
fucking-
not.
I've
That's too close.
I've been to Staten Island. If you put a tornado through the joint, it would look better.
It says here California
Fair enough.
averages 11 tornadoes a year.
Whoa.
Look, that was Miami. That's downtown Miami. There was one in Miami.
Whoa.
I remember when that
Yeah.
happened. That's like right in downtown. So
Yeah.
it happens.
Yeah, Mother Nature doesn't care. Like, she's gonna do what she's gonna do. So yeah. Yep.
We drove towards that one too. on a boat. So wait, but the life cycle is it's born like it forms and then
Yep. So the life cycle is that you have these supercells, and supercells thankfully are very rare to begin with, right? Not every thunderstorm becomes a supercell. Very, very few, less than 10%. And then occasionally, if conditions are just right, again, tornadoes themselves are pretty rare, but if conditions are just right, once you have this rotating updraft, the interplay between the downdraft, so the stuff that's coming out of the back of the storm, the rear flank downdraft, sometimes can produce something that we call a rear flank gust, or gust front, and that can sometimes get injected up. I can send you guys an animation if you want, but anyway, gets ingested up into the updraft, and that circulation can start making its way down toward the surface. Now, when that happens, one of the first things that you'll see is something called a wall cloud, which is just a region of lowering below that whole area, the base of the cloud there by the updraft, and you see lowering, it starts to rotate. Sometimes, again, if conditions are right, from there you can get a funnel cloud to come down a little pointed, or chunky looking funnel. And then again, as soon as you see any sign that the circulation has reached the surface, you have yourself a tornado. You don't have to have a nice cone in order for it to be a tornado. And then eventually, when that circulation is not connected between the base of the cloud and the ground anymore, your tornado has dissipated. So you don't have a tornado anymore.
All right. And then, so I guess that's like how tornadoes are produced. We just kind of went over that. It's just specific at the clouds.
Yeah.
I don't know if we even asked that. But yeah.
I mean, what I would add to that is, obviously the ingredients for a tornado are very similar to ingredients that you would need for thunderstorms in general, right? So you need moisture and instability, right? Rising air, lifting mechanism somehow to get clouds to form, all that. But a key ingredient with supercells is that you need what we call atmospheric shear, which means you have wind traveling at different speeds and in different directions with height. And that allows the updraft to not only be separate from the downdraft, so it's a longer living storm or longer surviving storm, but that also can get the storm to rotate.
Have you learned everything there is to know about tornadoes? And if so, just stop it, right? You don't need to learn any more. You've learned all the stuff.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of atmospheric science, is that there's always something more to learn
There's
about
still
it.
more stuff that we're not quite sure about. Like, do you think you'll be able to predict tornado? Are you able to predict tornadoes pretty well?
So I will say that the forecasting ability for tornadoes has gone up exponentially since, forecasts were first put out for them.
Because of the things in Twister, right? In the movie Twister.
Okay, so as much as I hate that movie, I do have to admit that the instrument in that movie was based on something. Yes, it was based on something that the NSSL, the National Severe Storms Laboratory, they had a whole program devoted to exactly that. It wasn't called Dorothy; it was called Toto.
Yeah.
It's called the Totable Tornado Observatory.
Oh wow,
the band.
It unfortunately was exactly right. Yeah.
I know we talked
Unfortunately, it was
about it
not
yesterday
as-
that the movie isn't accurate. I know, right?
Yeah.
It's not good either, by the way.
I mean,
Terrible.
it's good in that it got a lot of people interested in meteorology, which is great.
Had a great cast. A great cast.
It did. Oh my gosh.
It's
it
like
did. It really did.
Helen Hunt and Philip Seymour
the
Hoffman.
VFX definitely do not hold up.
The guy
Just
from
the
No.
car blowing up in the tornado.
the guy from The
Nah.
Princess Bride. I just forgot his name.
Yeah. Carrie Elways.
Gary Elways. And
Yeah.
then and Bill Paxton. It's all there. You ever
Yes.
seen it, Jim? Twister?
I've seen it, but a long time
Terrible.
ago.
Not
A
good.
long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't need to see it again.
And then when they finally get those
No,
things
you
up in,
don't.
up in the air, they're like, look, the data's coming in. And they just show you a screen with data. You're like, yeah, that looks like, okay.
That looks like some
Spoiler
nerd
alert.
stuff. Cool.
We're getting the data. So-
Yeah. Yeah.
But
so
that's real. Okay, I got you.
how
So-
many,
well,
many
no, no,
people
no. So
die a
the
year in
total
America
of-
from tornadoes? How many do we lose?
on average,
Yeah.
80 in the United States.
Yeah.
Now, there are some
Not too
years where
bad.
there's a lot more. There are some years where there are a lot fewer. But yeah, 75 to 80 or so. But again, the idea behind the research that we do is that if we can predict things better, people can get warnings or alerted ahead of time, right? Put those watches out saying, okay, conditions are favorable. So take precautions now.
That'd be a terrible way to die. Because I don't know if it, again, I only know from movies. Would you just get flung somewhere? Like,
You'd probably get knocked out pretty quickly.
or something
I
would
would
hit you,
assume.
debris would hit
It
you.
really, I mean, I hate to be kind of morbid about this, but it really depends. Some people get flung away, in which case blunt force trauma by impacting the ground at a high rate of speed. But most people who die from them actually get impacted by debris. And so crush,
Could it like rip your limbs off?
No.
That would be a horrible way.
No.
Could it fly you
That
into the
sucks.
air and then let
That
you
sucks.
back
So bad.
down again?
Like gently.
It I suppose it could. But
If you picked up a surfboard, could you surf one?
I don't know the aerodynamics of a surfboard. would
Like
be
in
able to
9/11,
support
there was
that,
people
but-
who surfed from the top floor all the way down as the thing.
Well, how good of a surfer
Did they
are you is the
make
first
it?
question.
Like,
Yeah,
did they
yeah.
actually survive
the
that?
debris?
There's some people who were on like really high floors. They fell down
No,
with the
no.
debris.
Did they survive, though?
They did.
I
They
don't.
did. Yeah, they did.
What?
Let me Google 9/11
No.
surfing
I mean,
out
there
of.
have been
It sounds like
there
some
have
YouTube
definitely
conspiracy.
there have definitely been stories of people who have survived being lofted in such things as a bathtub, right? And then being placed down. They were, shaken up, but they did survive from that. Don't know that I would recommend trying a surfboard to get airborne, but yeah.
Pasquale Bazzelli survived 9/11 by surfing 15 floors
Wow.
on slab of concrete.
Thank you. You can
Oh,
all
50.
go fuck
A
yourself.
slab
15
of
floors.
concrete.
15 floors,
Yeah,
whatever.
15 floors,
You said the
whatever.
top.
Well,
You said
15
the,
floors is a
wait, hold
lot,
on.
dude.
I was thinking the
Was
100th,
that-
the top.
Wait, but was that like
You
in a
can't-
stairwell, or are you saying that it was
He was
outside?
he was on a bit of concrete. The whole thing. He just stood on like you can't. That's the only way you
Not
can sort it.
impressed. Not impressed.
15 floors doesn't impress
Not
you.
impressed. I drove in the funnel clouds, baby.
He drove a boat towards a fair weather water spout.
Yeah,
This
that
guy's
doesn't scare me.
insane.
Oh, that is hardcore. Well, I'm glad he survived.
So you were saying that there is, so the technology is getting to a point where it would be easier to detect. Like that's.
I mean,
that's where we started with this.
it depends on whether you're talking about like visual. So clearly we have a much better spotter network out there now, right? People are trained to look for these storms and things like that. Our technology is also getting better in terms of our radar, right? So if we're putting up more and more stationary radars and using more like what, my group does, mobile radars, then yes, we can see circulations.
So how far ahead can you see the circulations then?
Well, that is a function of how far your radar is from the circulation itself, right? If you have a radar, which basically you can think of it like a flashlight, except it doesn't send out visual light, it sends out microwaves, which you can't see. But anyway, if it can detect something, 15 miles away, it's going to be high above the surface, but you can see when rotation starts, right? You can see the start of rotation. And so a lot of times, I don't know in LA how often you guys get tornado warnings, but a lot of times you will hear, radar indicated tornado or something like that. That means that there are weather service people in their offices looking at the radar data saying, oh, it looks like there might be a circulation there. That doesn't guarantee that it's on the ground. That's where spotters come in, and that's where damage surveys come in after the storm.
We don't have them in LA.
Yeah.
If you had them in LA, there'd be fucking homeless tents flying around bloody everywhere.
Yeah, I don't think LA, because there's no clouds there. There's only clouds there 5 days a year. So it's
we got no clouds.
Yeah, so I mean, I know that they've existed
don't jinx it.
in California, but it would be there's not any of the clouds to form it because it's the.
We get earthquakes. Everyone's got their thing. You don't need to have several things.
I mean, you don't need to. It's not up to you. It's nature.
That's true.
Well, it's where you bloody plant houses. This is a low tornado risk.
Mudslides, fires, earthquakes.
But I'm sure you guys have flash flood warnings and mudslide
fires. Yeah, for sure.
Fires, right?
I don't know. I've stopped watching the news. It makes you depressed having to hear about all the bad things that are coming to get you. Yeah, life's about you just wake up and you try to get to the time you go back to sleep. That's all you got to do. In between that, you try to find ways to lie down. Life.
That sounds like depression.
So, because what are the type? So it has to be like a puffy cloud. I don't know what those clouds are called to form tornadoes, because that's why we don't have them here.
Billowy.
Yeah. So pillowy, is that what you said?
Serious one.
Yeah. So we call thunderstorm clouds cumulonimbus clouds. It's just that with the supercells, they, the updraft area, you think of it like a vacuum area, that whole area spins. So it rotates. So. And
then what direction does it go? Jim said clockwise. Then he said no, counterclockwise.
And he said anti-clockwise.
What do you say?
Counterclockwise.
Anti-clockwise is what the rest of the world says. I wasn't saying something stupid. Anti-clockwise.
Well, actually, in meteorology, we say cyclonic and anticyclonic. So you are. Yes.
Thank you.
You're all right.
Thank you.
All right.
Wait. So which way do they spin?
Both actually. So cyclonic would be counterclockwise here in the northern hemisphere. And anticyclonic would be clockwise. And most of the tornadoes here in the northern hemisphere, most of them spin counterclockwise or cyclonically. However, they can be anticyclonic as well.
And we have them in Australia?
Oh, yes. Yep,
I don't remember
absolutely.
A tornado in Australia, maybe.
Were they called something else?
Whirly twirlies.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've heard it willy willies and whirly twirlies and stuff like that.
Oh, no, I was making that up.
Oh, well.
Whizzle wuzzles.
I don't know about all that, but yeah.
And then a tornado family. I guess Jim was right there. Was a whole group of them? Is that what that is?
Yeah. So sometimes you can get very large circulations that spawn something called satellite tornadoes around them. And other times you can have individual tornadoes spawned by the same storm. And yes, the latter would be the tornado families. It's not to be confused with a tornado outbreak, which is where you have a series of storms producing multiple tornadoes, either sequentially or in very close proximity to one another as well. But yeah, you were generally right about that.
Is there conventions that you go to with other tornado friends where you all sit around and chat about tornadoes? There's got to be, right? Because there's the people who drive and search for them, right? You'd have a few nut jobs there, wouldn't you?
I mean, we have sometimes, yeah. But so our big conference is the American Meteorological Society annual conference. Yeah. But there's also the Severe Local Storms conferences, and there are other conferences across the country too. And then there are, amateur meteorologists or amateur storm chaser conferences too that occur.
Are there
so
a lot of
it all depends.
conspiracy theories around tornadoes? Like how there's chemtrails and stuff like that. Is the government doing it to keep us down?
So no, the government is not not doing that to keep us down. But there are lots and lots of conspiracies out there about it. Like you hear a lot of people saying like HARP and all that, and the chemtrails are influencing the storm, you know,
What's HARP?
frequency, I guess you could say.
Yeah, what's
That
HARP?
has to do with high altitude stuff,
Oh.
which again is way above the level where we would be looking at tornadoes anyway. But there are people who also think that the radars themselves are damaging to people at the surface and can cause tornadoes, and that's not true.
It's 5G's fault.
Yeah, 5G
exactly.
would have something to do with it, surely.
Exactly.
When-
That's why I don't have a smartphone. I don't want to participate in that. I don't want to contribute to it.
When is tornado season? Jim said late summer to autumn.
Yeah, so I'm going to give an answer that my students hate, and that is it depends on where you're talking about. So in the southern U.S., assuming that we're talking about the U.S. Tornado season,
sure.
The tornado season can start in February, right? All you need is a warm, moist air mass to come up from the Gulf, and you need that colder air mass to come down from Canada. And, you know, as long as that cold front can reach further to the south, you can start getting conditions that are favorable for tornadoes. So, you know, February, March is where Tornado Alley season starts in the south. And then it gets, as you migrate through the season and go from, you know, late spring into summertime, then you start moving up to the Great Plains, or excuse me, the High Plains. So quintessential tornado season is in the springtime months.
Is can you in a lab in a perspex box make a tornado? Can you get all the environment together, put a dog bowl of water in the corner, make it moist and all that type of stuff? Can you like physically make one?
Absolutely, yeah. So as a matter of fact, the person who developed this, the scale on which we rate tornadoes today we use something called the enhanced Fujita scale, but originally it was created by Dr. Theodore Fujita, and so it was originally called the Fujita scale. He used to have models all the time, and you can create a tornado chamber. You don't even need a lab for it. You can do it with, you know, a bowl of dry ice and some fans and, you know, all that stuff. So yeah, you can actually absolutely simulate that kind of stuff. A lot of science centers have them too, which is kind of cool. Now, they're not on the same scale as what you would experience in the wild, right? I mean, you wouldn't want to have kids sticking their hands into 80-mile-an-hour winds in the middle of your lab or your science center. But yeah, you can simulate them pretty well.
And the scale, the Fujita, that was the next question. The Fujita is the scale?
So the original scale, yes, was developed by Dr. Theodore Fujita, and his scale was based on the damage that is left behind by the tornadic winds. In 2007, engineers and meteorologists got together and said, well, that was a great basis, but engineering laws and regulations and, you know, standards have changed. So they changed it to the enhanced Fujita scale. Just to take into consideration all of those changes that had happened between when Dr. Theodore Fujita came up with his scale and the new one. And there's also talks about enhancing it again. So.
Oh, and that's why I don't want to bring up Twister again, but they say F1, F2.
Right. So
Okay.
yeah. So that's why it's the F stands for Fujita. And then
Where was
today
Dr. Fujita from?
I believe he was from California.
Oh, okay. I thought it might have been Japanese or something.
So
like
it's
that.
F.
He was, but I don't know. That's a good question. I should know that.
So now it's
Yikes.
EF1. What is the number?
Now
it's
it's
1,
EF.
2, 3, 4, all the way to 10 or something? Or?
So the original scale went from F0 to F5. And the current scale, the modern scale, goes from EF0 to EF5, with EF0 being the weakest and EF5 being the most devastating.
Ted Fujito was a Japanese-American meteorologist, born in Japan, died in Chicago.
So he was born in Japan, called Theodore.
Well, there you go.
And he goes by Ted, yeah.
There you go. Well, Ted.
Oh, Tetsuya Theodore Fujita. His full name.
Tetsuya, yeah.
Okay.
that
That was
makes
just his
more
American
sense,
name.
And then he just Americanized it.
And then the wind. So what's the average wind speed and what's the highest wind speed? Jim said 200 and then 700.
Yeah. So 700 is way, way, way above. And 200 is actually way above for average too. Thankfully, most
Not in Australia.
tornadoes. That's right. I guess y'all do things differently over there, or they do things differently. So yeah, most tornadoes, thankfully, are EF0s and EF1s. right? So they have sub 90 mile an hour winds. Now, again, depending on what is in the path of those winds, you can still do damage, right? A mobile home, for example, is not going to withstand, 85, 90 mile an hour winds. They're rated up to like 80 miles an hour or so. That's why a lot of times when you see mobile home parks that have been hit by tornadoes, the damage is so almost complete because again, they're not meant to withstand that. Now, like I said, thankfully, most of them are weak, EF0, EF1s. The strongest ones can exceed 300 miles an hour. Yeah, that's a lot of wind coming at your face. And
how much can they lift? I've seen cars float up and all that type of stuff in footage. Like, how much can they lift?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on aerodynamics of the object, as well as does the wind have a path underneath the object to create that, the Bernoulli effect and get that lift to happen. So for example, and as well as the surface area on which that wind is pushing. So for example, it can push over, tornado winds have been found to push over things like railroad cars, right? I think there's one or two cases where it could loft them for a little while. Certainly vehicles have been picked up and flung. So yeah, it all depends on the physics that's going on, the interplay between the object and the wind.
Has it ever gone into a zoo, and what was the biggest animal that lifted up?
That's a great random question. I don't know. A lemur.
Yeah.
Oh,
Poor little
no.
lemur. Yeah, flung a lemur, no problem. Yeah, elephant would be hard. Yeah.
There's plenty of animals you could fling with a bit of wind.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, lemurs are kind of small.
I'm saying, no problem. Lemurs. I guarantee
Flung.
you a lemur's been
Goodbye.
flung. Yeah. And then how large are they across an average, and what's the largest one across ever?
Yeah. So on average, they're anywhere from like 300 to 500 meters across. They're usually 10 minutes or less in terms of how long they're on the ground for. The widest documented tornado was in 2013 in El Reno, Oklahoma. And we documented the extent of it as being 2.6 miles wide.
Holy
shit. And and the thing is, that was also a perfect, it was horrible, but it was a perfect example of a multi-vortex tornado. So it had a giant circulation, obviously. And then around the periphery of that circulation were these occasional little spindly little suction vortices that each, had winds approaching 200 miles an hour. So it was, that was a nightmare case. And unfortunately, we lost pioneers in the field of atmospheric science observation there. We lost Tim Samaras and his chase crew. And that was horrifying.
Do you see a future where we will have some technology that we can implement that can stop or slow down a tornado? Or do we have that already?
No.
Is anyone working on that?
For one thing, the likelihood that any one location is going to get hit by a tornado is very, very hard to predict, right? It's almost infinitesimally
that goes
small.
backwards that you put at the base of it.
I mean, if you have a fan that could blow, 200 miles an hour winds
I'm just
at an
the
exact
ideas,
location.
man. I'm just the ideas.
That's true.
I'm just the
They had
ideas.
That's true.
Paw
You're
Patrol
the
movie.
scientist. You're supposed to figure it out.
Was that in the Paw Patrol
It
movie?
was, yeah.
They have a
Kelly,
backwards
you saw
fan.
the movie?
I saw the
Love
Paw
it.
Patrol movie.
Do
Yes,
they
I do
really?
remember
They have a
that, yeah.
backwards fan in the Paw Patrol movie to
Wait, they
stop
stopped a
tornado?
tornado?
Yeah, they stopped bad weather, but then it blows up because a bad guy did it, and then the tornadoes
Oh.
go unleash.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Paw Patrol's on the
It
case.
was a bad scene. It was a bad scene.
I
What
mean,
a-
I'm
What
gonna
about
say
like
that
if we tried salt? Just throwing a bit of salt in there, and that might thin
I
it
think
out.
it's
well, then you'd
slug?
just be flinging salt.
Well, I don't
You'd
know.
be
I'm
flinging
just saying.
salt at like
This is how
200 miles an
experiments work
hour.
for us. You start with salt,
That's true.
and
I don't
then
wanna-
you
yeah.
use diet
Yeah,
Coke,
scientific
and then you
methods.
use-
Have you
First.
tried damaging its confidence?
Yeah, yeah.
That's right. Talking down to the tornado.
Einstein tried Edison had like 300 different things before he found how to make the light bulb.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
That's
Okay.
true.
When
You
there's
ever
a
try shooting it with
I
a
know what you
gun?
do. When there's a tornado, you get a 2-liter bottle of Diet Coke and you put some Mentos
Yeah,
in it.
that'll
In the
do it.
middle of the tornado, and then it stops it.
That's
that'll
That's
work.
right.
Well, that's worth trying.
Yeah.
I don't
Toast.
Oh, what about Sharknado?
think- Toast. Avocado toast.
Have you tried it?
I have. I've thrown some in a water spout.
Sharknadoes.
Offer it up. Just kind of be like,
could
yeah,
a tornado lift a shark, and how long would the shark live in the Sharknado? And did Sharknado, did you enjoy the first movie? I found the second and third one got silly.
It's one of my favorite franchises for that genre of movie, actually. It really is, because at a certain point,
for crap films,
at a certain point, it knows that it's making fun of itself. So I'm just like, all right, fine, go ahead, take that shark down with a chainsaw as you're flying through.
It's when all the sharks came up through the toilet and flooded the house.
Well, there was one where there was an airplane flying, and the sharks got thrown into the airplane.
Yeah.
Now, Forrest, you're the marine biologist. How long could a shark survive in a tornado?
They can survive a long time out of the water.
Whoa.
A lot longer than you think. Yeah.
Like
Sounds dangerous for us.
I will say, now I am not a shark biologist or marine biologist. I will say, though, that there's a very big difference between, being out of the water on land and being out of the water hundreds of feet up. Because I think that the sharks would recognize that something is wrong with them being that high up. I would like to think so. And so they would probably die of, fright or shock or something like that.
But then they'd be excited to see the guy from 90210. Can't remember his name, but he's in there.
That's true.
They're like, oh my God, it's him.
Ian Ziering.
Yeah,
To answer your question, though, yes, there actually have been documented cases of fish. Now, sharks are fish, but of fish being sucked up by those fair weather waterspouts and dropped elsewhere. So theoretically, I suppose not a whale shark.
No one wants to watch a movie called Troutnado.
That's right.
No.
That's right.
That's
right.
When after hurricanes, I would me and my friends we had a couple of businesses. One is we would just go around
selling drugs
with chainsaws, and we'd remove like trees that had fallen on people's houses and things like that, and we clean up their yard. And I also would get like a pump that I could pump because people's pools would be disgusting. They'd be filled with like debris and all sorts of a lot of dead animals and things like that. Yeah. And there was one time I was pumping out a pool, and we were about a mile from the ocean. There was a shark in it. It was dead.
Yeah,
but it was flying through the air at some point and then went to this pool. So.
Wow.
Shark
it's Florida. Some redneck trying to raise a shark in a fucking pool.
I was going to say,
and then a tornado
sure
came through. And he's like, this must have flown up from them tornado.
Yeah.
There's some people who think fish can get evaporated in the clouds and come raining down, but that can't be right.
No one thinks that. No one thinks that.
Dude, I have gotten
who thinks that fish gets sucked up by clouds and evaporate and come back down?
Stupid people.
No,
Jim, I have
listening.
fought people on this. I have fought people. I'm like, there's no fucking way, right?
They're making fun of you, Jack.
Well, they're not.
5 people.
So here's the thing.
Fought them.
4 people.
You fought them.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
I know of no cases of that. However, there have been stories of frogs and toads that have been encased in hail. And what that means is that there was enough force to bring them up into the updraft.
Holy shit.
And if the not like gigantic, but anything that gets sucked up into the updraft there, if it's a strong enough updraft, it'll keep it up, and you can get layers and layers of ice.
But that's updraft. That's not evaporation.
That's not evaporation.
When I come in the toilet and it goes out to the ocean and then it gets updrafted up, it comes back as thunder.
What are you doing in the toilet?
Sometimes you jack off into a toilet bowl.
No.
You've never done that? You've never done that just so there won't be a mess and you're already in the bathroom?
Is that called cloud seeding?
Exactly.
There you go.
So what, you would miss the bowl? Where else would you do it in the bathroom?
That's how cumulus clouds are created.
See, there you go.
Cumulus nimbus.
You've never jacked off into a toilet your whole
I've
life.
already told you no 3 times. I don't know how many more times.
Forrest,
doesn't
think about
make you
it.
less weird.
How about now?
Oh my
Still no.
Ah, weird.
Jack, have you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Kelly?
No.
Luis?
You've never flicked one off while sitting on the toilet?
No, my legs would go
You never
numb.
had a toilet, a poo that's going a bit long and you go, I'll break this up.
All right, I haven't done that.
No.
Multitasking is important. It's an important skill.
I've never been horny taking a shit. I'll say that.
So how long do tornadoes last and how far do they travel? Like even the largest one that you said across was 2.5 miles. Like on average, how long do they last and how far do they travel and what's like the record?
Come thunder.
So on average they last about 10 minutes. The longest one, so the one that I mentioned, the 2.5 or 2.6 mile wide one was on the ground for about 40 minutes or so. But the longest one, the tri-state tornado of 1925, that was on the ground for over 200 miles. That was on the ground for like 218, 219 miles or so.
Damn.
Yeah, like that's and it
Not
also
good.
had a pretty fast forward motion too. But yeah, so they can last a long time.
I'll tell you
if
a
the
little-
conditions are right.
I'll tell you a little thing about me that since moving to America that I enjoy doing. I love saying the tri-state area. I'm never in the tri-state area, but I always say to my wife, because my wife doesn't know what it means, right? She's still British and she's never asked. I go, I'll be in California. I'll go like this. She goes, did you find that blah, blah, blah at the shops? And I went, I drove across the tri-state area. And there's none available.
She's like, wow, that sounds.
There's none available
Well,
in the
that's big.
in the tri-state area. She doesn't know what the tri-state area is.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah, it's like New York and Jersey
Yeah.
and something else, Rhode Island or something. One of those ones. And it's like,
Yeah.
I assume
Just got to get 3
Pennsylvania.
states together.
Yeah.
Pretty much. You should throw a quad state area in there sometime.
Oh yeah.
isn't there the one where you can stand in like 5 states at once or something?
Yeah, it's like Nevada, Utah,
New
New
Mexico.
Mexico, Colorado.
the Four Corners
Arizona.
region?
Yeah, Four Corners. Yeah, it's New Mexico,
Yeah.
Arizona. Yeah.
Well,
And Breaking
this-
Bad, she goes
I've
to
been
it.
there.
Remember? She's like puts the baby on the thing. And,
I have pictures of me as a 3-year-old there.
Ooh.
We'll put them up
Cool.
here.
Mm.
There it is. Good
Well-
picture.
This tri-state tornado was actually Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana, I think. So it wasn't the tri-state tornado, but
Yeah.
it did cross 3 states. So.
Now
Damn.
weather stuff, like weather preparation, is that a federal thing or is that a state thing? And do some states do it better than others if it's a state thing? And am I paying taxes in California for these people in Kansas to have tornadoes all the time willy-nilly?
what? You need to like help them
So-
prepare for tornadoes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, FEMA is a thing. So that is federal, right?
Yeah.
They help a lot with like the after effects and things like that. Nationwide, we have the National Weather Service. And so, yes, that is taxpayer funded and the government puts money into it and everything like that. And yeah, they are responsible for issuing watches and warnings. So the Storm Prediction Center will issue the watches and the National Weather Service will issue the warnings. And so, yes, we're all kind of contributing to one big pot of funding for the National Weather Service in order to do that. Now, what's interesting is that in terms of the emergency management side, every community, every county in this country, and there are many, many counties, they all have different thresholds of preparedness, right? So I don't know what you guys have there in LA or in your county. I don't know if you have storm sirens. I don't know what your storm sirens mean, right? So here in Minnesota, many counties have storm sirens. Unfortunately, every single county can determine what the sirens mean when they go off, right? So do they go off for 70-mile-an-hour winds? Do they go off for tornadoes? Do they go off for severe thunderstorm, hail or whatever? And that in that way, it can be very, very confusing. There is no across the board legislation or requirement that places have basements or sirens or anything like that. It's really up to the individual.
Well, that's
community.
interesting, right? Because I'll ask all the people here. Now, if you're walking along the street and you're in LA and you hear the siren go, wee! No, it's not a car one. You know the car ones. It's a big like, wee! Like that. What do you think's happening when you hear that sound?
A test.
Yeah.
Normally a test. Normally
Yeah.
a test. But what do you think it's a test for?
I would
Like,
think-
what do you think
I
it's
would
potential?
I would think wind or lightning.
I would think it's for fucking nuclear bombs.
Yeah, I would think
Yeah.
it was like nuclear.
Yeah, because
something or
here-
Because
other.
they had that happen in Hawaii. They let
Yeah.
it off by accident. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah, 'cause
I wouldn't go, ooh, tornadoes are coming.
Yeah, because I don't think it'd only be in the areas where tornadoes are prevalent because we get hurricanes in Florida. There's no hurricane siren because for a week it's coming. So you're not like,
Right.
oh my God, and here earthquakes just happen. So you wouldn't have an earthquake siren.
We're supposed to have an app that lets us know, but I don't think that.
I
thing
think you're
does
right, Jim. I
anything.
think it'd be like some sort of.
Yeah, you go.
Bomb
all right,
thing.
all
Yeah.
right. We're under
Yeah.
we're under threat here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think we were under attack for sure.
And that's what we tell the students here is, if you hear a siren, the first thing that you should do is, yes, you should find shelter, but then figure out what's going on, right? Look for more information as to what's causing it. But also knowing ahead of time what your sirens mean, that goes a long way. So I would look that up if I were you guys.
Well, they've got that one, the emergency one, because I had one in the radio just then, and it was just a test, and it's like the one that
Yep.
just sounds like a fax machine. Wee! We're just testing, and you're like, who picked this sound? Who picked this sound?
Testing all the sounds.
Just have fucking Helen Mirren give us a voiceover. We're all in trouble.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
all I want.
the Amber Alert thing on the iPhone.
Yeah,
like I've been
exactly.
woken up in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
and it's terrifying. It's just like,
Yeah.
just tell us
Yeah,
a kid's missing.
And that is nationwide. So that's the emergency alert system. So like even my dumb phone gets those alerts too,
Yeah.
because, they want people to be informed. And what you'll often see at the end of those messages is, seek more information.
I'll tell you which one I don't pay. The silver alert. I'm like, whatever.
What's the silver alert?
It's like old
Oh.
people. It's like old
They'll
people.
They'll find their way back.
Yeah, Mike,
They'll
you've
find their
lived
way
long
back.
enough.
Yeah.
I
I'm
turned
not
off
gonna-
all the emergency alerts.
You can do that?
I don't want to know what's happening.
Me neither.
So, what parts of the world do tornadoes occur? Jim said only in the middle of America. He's never heard one outside of North America, and Tornado Alley is in Kansas. So,
Yeah, so the only continent that hasn't experienced them before is Antarctica. So they have occurred everywhere else on the planet. So in terms of sheer numbers, the U.S. has the number. We're number one for that. Canada is number two, and then there it goes down from there. In terms
3,
of
4.
see, that's how it works. Yeah. In terms of deadly,
5.
like the deadliest, the places with the highest fatalities on a yearly basis, that's Bangladesh.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Well, I don't imagine they have great housing in Bangladesh.
And their population density is
I've never
very
been
high.
there. I might come off as a bit wrong there, but I don't see their houses lasting through a tornado.
it's a poorer country, but I mean to that point, a lot of I'm assuming a lot of the deaths happen in America in trailer parks, which is generally poorer population too, because those aren't made. Those not. There's no walls. Basically, it's like the thin bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And
that's-
socioeconomics plays a huge role in terms of who survives these things.
Yeah.
Right.
And Tornado Alley is in Kansas.
So Tornado Alley extends from a region that is along the Gulf Coast, so Texas, Louisiana, all the way up through portions of the Dakotas and even into Minnesota. Again, that kind of migrates throughout the year. So Minnesota and the high plains in general tend to be later on in the, late spring, early summer or so.
So basically, Tornado Alley is very close to the Bible Belt, right? There's all these religious people in the middle of America. They're going, "Oh, Jesus, blah 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 blah,"
Yeah.
and then the fucking nature goes and fucking gets rid of their fucking houses.
Yeah.
Where's your God now, you dumbasses?
They probably seriously so a lot of my research was actually in those areas, and I swear to you, what they say is, well, it's just a test. We have to overcome it.
And
I'm
they
like,
get
all right,
more
if that
religious.
reinforces exactly. And I'm like, if that reinforces, all right.
And then people donate money to help them build. Oh, that's God's will. Nah, we fucking did it. God didn't help you out.
I bet you can get some cheap houses in Tornado Alley. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. You don't want to live
Yeah.
there. It's Tornado Alley.
Yeah. We talked about them being detected. Oh, the center of a tornado is calm. Eye of the storm, nothing's happening. Is that the same? Because I know in hurricane that isn't a tornado is too.
So the thing that you have to remember about tornadoes is that they are much smaller than hurricanes. I know that's an obvious statement.
Yeah.
So relative calm is,
It's really quick. It's like
fleeting. It's like it's super, if you look at a radar signature of a very, very strong tornado, you can actually see an area that is clear. There's no reflectivity in there because things are being centrifuged away from the center. And so if you were in a tornado, and there have been a couple of stories of people who have been in tornado. I've been in the center of a circulation of a forming tornado, and it was just like, oh God, I gotta get the frick out of here. But yeah, I mean, it's theoretically calm, but it's moving very fast. Like the entire tornado is moving fast, and around that center, you can have really strong winds. So I don't know how you would really determine that it's calm in the center of the tornado. Unlike a hurricane where the eye tends to be relatively calm, but it also tends to be
Massive.
many, many times wider than even the widest tornado.
Yeah, I have a mate who said he was in the Navy, and he said he went through a hurricane, and then when the eye was passing over the ship, all the birds just landed on the deck of the ship because they were sick of flying over the ocean inside the eye, and they didn't give a fuck about human touch or anything because they were exhausted.
Yeah. Because that's the word. That's what you know. I mean, you know more about hurricane, but I just when the eye travels over too, when the other wall hits, that's the strongest wall, and it's going the opposite direction, right? So then all the wind just like pushes everything backwards. So it's like,
so it's not necessarily that it's the strongest. It's that for the first half of the storm prior to, the eye impacting it, all the winds have been going constantly in one way and weakening the structures or trees or whatever, or poles. And then you have the same amount of wind, but going the other way. And so it's already been weakened. It's not necessarily stronger on the backside of an eye wall. But yeah, what you're saying about the birds is absolutely true. In the deployments that I've been in, the one that sticks out in my mind the most is one where we got out of our vehicle during the eye and we saw pelicans just flying with the eye. And a lot of them, unfortunately, were dropping out of the sky because they are so exhausted.
Is there any benefits? Like, is there anything like, when you you eat something, it doesn't taste good, but it chips away at your colon and clears things
tornadoes,
out.
You mean?
Yeah. Is there something that it like sifts shit out of the air or something?
Population control.
Is there any uptick like some of these smaller towns get a new mall afterwards, apart from that, but I mean, is there any uptick?
So here's the thing. If we think about thunderstorms in general, right? So whether they are hurricane-sized thunderstorms or storms that produce tornadoes, it's nature's way of balancing out imbalances in moisture and heat. Right. And so you can think of thunderstorms as like nature's air conditioner. Right. You've noticed that if you stand in front of a thunderstorm that's coming toward you, one of the first things that you feel is that rush of cold air. Right. And so, again, it's a way of balancing out thermal differences and moisture differences in our atmosphere. There have been a couple of communities that have been pretty much wiped off the face of where they were that have decided, for example, Greensburg, Kansas is a perfect example of that. When they got hit by a very, very, I believe it was an F5, very strong tornado, they made the conscious choice afterwards to rebuild as a green community. So they did a lot of recycled stuff. They did a lot of, solar. They did a lot of things like that. And so in that respect, yes, that was a positive benefit from that, but that certainly wasn't immediate.
So if we can make them inside Perspex boxes and we can get all the stuff together, how far are we from making tornadoes and sending them to China and Russia? Like if this is sensitive information that you don't want to disclose, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. What's your security clearance? No, I'm just kidding. I mean, the sheer amount of energy that a tornado could produce is something that we can't harness.
I hear you. We're close.
I like that you're trying to answer this, Rachel. You're a good sport. All right.
You've seen this in movies my whole life. We send thunderstorms to different countries and stuff like that. We can make things in labs. Why? You're small-minded, man. This could happen.
What sounds do tornadoes make?
Oh, wishy-wally whittle wah. Shoo, 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 shoo.
Barley,
Clunk,
barley,
clunk,
barley.
clunk, 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 clunk.
Yeah, why'd you write barley, barley, barley?
That's he
Barley,
said barley,
barley.
barley, barley.
Because barley's flying up and it's been grown in the area and it grows up. And
Listen,
barley,
I'm a
barley.
good note taker. I write down what the guy
barley,
says.
barley, barley.
I write mouth noises more than anything on my outlines.
Is that like something you teach, like how to make tornado sounds, Rachel? Can you do them?
No. I mean,
Come on,
No.
give us some.
So China, you have a nuclear weapon?
Give us some tornado sounds.
Tornado. Hey, Putin, put this tornado we're putting this in your ass, Putin. Here's a tornado.
so I don't know who just made the sound. Who was that?
That was
me.
Okay, that
shit.
was you.
That was my asshole trying to push out a fart.
Wow, it's mic'd up.
I was gonna say, well, anyway. But yeah, no, I mean, so from my perspective, when I've been near tornadoes, that is what they have sounded like to me. Their sound, right? But other people have described them as freight trains and waterfalls. I have heard maybe
Children. We're children.
Yeah,
We're just providing sound effects.
totally.
We're scoring the
Totally.
podcast, Kelly. Let us do this.
Yeah.
Hey, Afghanistan,
Um,
don't you get any ideas? Tornado.
Oh dear.
He's doing his own thing.
I think the payback for that would be horrendous. Though.
They won't
Like,
know. It's the whole beauty of the tornado war. They can
Can't get back at Mother
never-
Nature.
What, you're going to attack us because you had a fucking tornado?
Wait. So, okay, question. I can't believe I'm
I
engaging
don't know
with
what's
this,
so
but-
hard
but
to understand.
question-
We make the tornadoes here. We send them to countries we're not getting along with.
All right, what's your question, Rachel?
But are you talking about like sending over a single one at a time, or are you like this whole barrage of like tornadoes?
Well,
because again,
look,
like
I'm
there's
not-
a lot of real
I'm
estate
not
to
a
cover.
scientist, right? If you wanted,
Okay.
if you wanted to do complete,
the military.
if you
You'd
wanted
be
to
a
do complete
strategy.
war, you'd send several tornadoes at once, like rip the place to shit.
Like ambush,
or
just ambush.
you like a SWAT team,
Body,
you could
body,
send in
body.
a single small tornado to just wipe out Putin.
How do you get them there?
Well, you put them in a box. You
Oh,
you
come
wrap it
on.
with wrapping paper. They think it's a birthday present. They
What
open
do
it up.
they
It's a tornado.
understand, Jack?
You have to understand, in Jim's plan, the tornado's in a little
Typical
box.
tornadoes.
Yes.
And you place the box and it opens and a tornado
you send 'em
shoots
by
out.
mail.
Like
Yeah.
I just,
Nothing like
like I
that,
just
Jack.
said.
Nothing like that.
Jack,
Nothing
I'm
like
with
that.
you. It's a fake birthday present. They
Yeah.
open it. Tornado.
It drops from a plane.
Like a Trojan horse with a tornado.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
yeah.
a regular tornado. It's
Oh.
from one
From a plane,
tornado.
like-
a regular tornado that comes from a plane.
No, you just
As
drop
a
the little
plane
seed
is
that
flying over
starts the
it.
tornado. The experiment starts as small. Yeah, we'll have a box, Jack. You're right. And so a box will drop down.
I'm lead engineer.
You're an idiot.
But the problem is you can't have the box that
Love it.
says tornado on it because then the
No, you
Chinese.
put like fast food
No,
on it.
you
yeah,
put-
you
Mr.
put like
You put not a tornado on the
yeah,
outside.
yeah. Or put
What was it? The twisties? The cheesy
Yeah,
twisties?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
twisties,
my-
twisties.
Yeah. We're sending you some snacks.
Whirlpool washing machine.
great.
That's a good one.
When you're outside and you see like the leaves spin in a circle, is that a tornado?
So that is a vortex.
That's
it's a
not a
circulation.
tornado, Jack.
It's not a tornado though, because again, remember, in order for it to be a tornado, there has to be a connection between the
Right.
circulation at the ground and the
Ground
circulation
and
of the cloud.
clouds.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, here's an important question. Our last one here. How do you stay safe during a tornado? What can you do to prepare?
There's nothing that can save you, Putin. These tornadoes are coming.
No, but seriously, for people that are listening, like, you know,
Yeah.
Kelly's cousin was in one there today. If there's a tornado, what should he have gotten out of the car? What should you do?
Yeah. So the first thing is be aware of the conditions before they deteriorate, right? So again, I know, Kelly, you said that you have your warnings disabled and stuff like that. I'm going to ask that you don't do that for
Shit.
weather-related ones, but
I'm not that
She
committed to
also,
living.
she also has
enough.
disabled warnings where she gets warned when they're coming to for her. She's very bigoted.
So, for example, when you hear a weather warning come across your wire, right? It could be a a watch. It could be a heat watch. It could be, flood watch. It could be hurricane watch or whatever. That means that conditions are favorable, right? The ingredients are getting in place, right? I always use cupcake watch versus cupcake warning, right? You have the ingredients of a cupcake. That means, okay, prepare. There could be cupcakes in your future. By the time the warning is issued, though, that means that is happening. So the more you can prepare ahead of time, know your evacuation routes. If you have a closet, clean out your closet so that if you have a tornado warning, you can get into that closet. Clean out your basement if you have a basement, and make sure that you have ways to get you. Basically, when it comes to surviving tornadoes, your number one priority is putting as many layers between you and the debris that's being blown around by the wind outside.
And how
So-
do you prepare for a cupcake? Like you said, you got the ingredients.
Yeah, you get
Cupcakes
the
in your
ingredients
future.
together.
Now it's time to prepare.
Flour,
so
frosting.
if a cupcake actually
Exactly.
comes your way, have you done the prep work? And what is the prep work for a cupcake for a finished one?
Getting all of the
Putting all the ingredients together, putting them in the oven.
The ingredients for a cyclone, the world puts the tornado together. You have to prepare for when the tornado comes. They can tell you the ingredients.
Right.
When the ingredients of a cupcake's there, you're not baking the cupcake. You're just getting the cupcake. What do you have to prepare
and
for?
you're preparing for how to deal with
You're
it,
making
right?
it. Yeah.
So when you get the
So-
cupcake, how do I deal with this? I don't deserve
Right.
a cupcake.
You put your bib in.
You're taking your
Exactly.
omeprazole so you don't get heartburn.
What
Yeah.
Exactly.
You do that stupid thing where you cut it in half because you only want half of one, and then
Yeah.
you eat the other half a little bit later.
Yeah.
What if you're in a car though? Should you stay
Immediately.
should you
Sorry.
stay inside the car if you're in a car?
Oh gosh. So that's a big question. So remember, once your car gets airborne, if it gets airborne or if it tips over, you have no control over that car. So
Well, you can't steer it back in the sky.
no, this is not
What if
this
you
is not
rock
like
back
Harry
and forth
Potter
inside
flying.
really hard?
Yeah. What if you bump your bum up
I
and
mean,
down?
it could put you to sleep, I suppose, if no, right? You don't want to be anywhere.
What if you
near
recline
that.
all the seats?
I mean, I suppose that would make it a little. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
What if you turn the radio up loud so the subwoofer made it go bouncy, bouncy?
No, you don't want to do that because that puts more air underneath your car. That could make it more airborne.
Maybe
That'd be
that's what I
bad.
want.
That'd be
Maybe that's
really
what I
bad. What you definitely don't want to
No
do is
scientist.
you never want to take cover under an overpass. I know that a lot of people are tempted to do that because they think, oh, hail, wind, I'm going to be safe under there. No, that acts or it can act like a vacuum at that point or a wind tunnel. You can get sucked out. You can get bombarded with debris. Never, ever, ever stay under an overpass in that situation. Please, please, please don't do that. The best thing to do if you are in a vehicle would be to drive at a 90-degree angle. You don't have to have a protractor. It just means, turn away from the tornado as best you can. If you do not have the opportunity to do that, get out and get into a ditch.
Ditch.
Oh, a ditch.
That's what I was going to ask you. If you're in a field, so you look for a ditch if you're in a field.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but like if you're on
And cover your head and neck.
If you're on an inflatable bouncy castle, you would stay on that, right? Because that would be a safe place.
I mean, that's a fun ride, right? If you're in a
Yeah.
bouncy castle,
Super safe.
like they're totally magical. They're meant to withstand. No,
It's like the
don't do
beginning of a
that either.
911 episode.
I know
Yeah,
people that
yeah.
died from that, man.
Yeah.
They, not even during just windy days.
Yeah.
They didn't bloody put the pegs
Exactly.
in.
Yeah. Sorry, my phone is ringing.
Is it the 1980s calling? Like that's an old push button phone.
I was saying that, this is how we
You
do things here at St.
unplugged
Cloud
the
State.
bloody thing there.
I did.
You've got all the tornado technology, and you got a push button phone.
She told us she doesn't have a smartphone.
I don't.
Why don't you have a smartphone? What are you anti-smartphone for?
Because number one, I can still get alerts on my dumb phone. If I couldn't, then I would upgrade. I like to be able to disconnect from online stuff.
I
don't-
agree. It's a nice thing to do. I have like full weekends where I don't look at social media or anything for like days on end or anything like that. But you are missing some wonderful tornado Instagram pictures. They must be something.
Well, I mean, I have a computer. I can look at things on like Twitter. Like I have a Twitter account. I just don't need it in my pocket all the time.
No, I'm with you.
You know what I mean?
Good
So,
for you. Yeah, I'm with
That
you.
sounds nice.
All right. Now is the time of our show called Dinner Party Facts. We ask our guests to give us a fact, something obscure, interesting that audience can use to impress people about the subject. What do you got for us?
Yeah. So I think I've given you a lot of my facts, but I will give you I will give you a fun word to use.
Oh,
Yeah. And that is lilapsophobia. And that is,
Lilapsophobia.
yeah.
that's not fun. I can't do it.
Say it. Lilapsophobia.
Lilapsophobia.
Yay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Archaeopteryx.
And it's one of the great dinosaurs. But lilapsophobia is the extreme fear of tornadoes and hurricanes.
Well, who doesn't have that?
Storm chasers.
I mean, you, Forrest, you drive
Lilapsophiles
towards them.
don't.
Yeah, that's true. No, but it's not-
Lilapsophiles
not
don't,
a-
so yeah.
But I found out a cloud is not a tornado. So
Yeah, true.
I don't have a fear of a funnel cloud. But
No. You're afraid of
I
a
think
water spout.
yeah, water spouts. Sorry. Lilapsophobia. Okay.
Lilapsophobia.
There you go.
Yeah. And then astrophobia is just the fear of thunder and lightning. So there you go.
Astrophobia.
Oh, the thunder and the lightning.
There you go.
Do.
Exactly.
Well, if you're ever in the St. Cloud area and you want to go to a planetarium show, go to the link that we provided you there. You can do that. Then you could meet Rachel there, perhaps. I'm not guaranteeing that. And then if you want to follow on Twitter, go to @GoAskAScientist or @SCSU Planetarium for the planetarium information. Rachel, thank you for being here.
Thank you all so much. You
That-
asked great questions.
You get out of here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're ever at a party and someone comes up to you and goes, I have lilacophobia, go, well, I don't know about that. And walk away. And then
That's the fear of the color lilac.
Fear of
Or
smelling
the flower.
nice
Yeah.
bath bomb. Fear of bath bomb.
good night, Australia.